Good morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing, Wednesday, September 20th. On the impact map, we have a series of cold fronts with much colder air and a lot of precipitation for many parts of the area. You can see it today, but as with all cold fronts, you get strong winds ahead of the front here in parts of Utah and also behind the front in northwest Nevada with somewhat high lower humidity, but you can see the expansive rainfall and snowfall in the highest elevations. This system has some cold air, and that'll start tapering off on Friday and lifting back to the north. But in the southern periphery, especially Thursday, we could see strong gusty winds, 35, maybe even 45 miles per hour. Fuels here are quite marginal from the wetness of the past month, but something we'll have to keep an eye on in our southern areas. Again, a fair amount of lightning across the area, but you can see it was fairly wet on the left-hand side. A lot of new starts, so that is something we'll have to keep an eye on when the winds start kicking in over the next 24 to 48 hours in some of our southern areas. Northern areas, I would not worry. Lots of moisture headed up in that direction. It has been a dry week across many western and northern areas. So you can see the percent of normal here on the right. But we are, fuel-wise, getting pounded by the wetness of the past month from mid-August to mid-September, from the remnants of Hurricane Hilary and several monsoonal pushes, several storm systems dropping down to the Pacific Northwest. Areas in yellow are 1.5 to 2 to as much as 3 inches of rainfall. On top of fuels that already were not very critical to begin with. So again, you can see the ERC point map. Most areas at or below the 50th percentile. A few areas coming out. Grasses, though, finer fuels a bit more cured. And here is our satellite imagery, kind of a 1-2 punch, a big storm system in parts of Washington State with cold temperatures, moisture, and also a smaller low coming out of Southern California with some remnants of some monsoonal or El Nino type moisture, and they're going to combine across the area. And here it is later today. You can see the showers mostly in the northern and central areas today. We'll look at, though, the winds, and winds quite gusty in parts of eastern and southern Utah and parts of neighboring Nevada, and humidity marginal, somewhere in the mid-teens to near 20%. Again, fuel's not that critical to begin with, but something I have to watch just a little bit through here. Now, on Thursday, the storm system is really winding up in very cold air under the center of this low. Big cold front slowly pushing across the area. You can see most PSAs, and except for the far south, drop into the green. But you can see these strong winds, oranges and purples, 30 to as much as 40, 45 mile per hour gusts, and humidities mid to upper teens to the low 20s, but there's like 12% down here in southeast Utah with those gusty winds. We did have some new starts. We'll have to watch for some areas that do have continuous fuel, but again, some green grass poking through in some areas through there from the recent rainfall this summer. But that'll be the only area of concern. Now look at this temperature drop, especially in central and northern areas. Reno goes from 83 to 67. Salt Lake goes from 80 to 69 for daytime highs. And even down in Vegas, 86 for a daytime high. It's pretty good for them. On Friday, the storm system still affecting eastern and northern areas, but dry air down south. Again, the lowest humidities in the far southern areas. Still some moderate winds of 20 to 30 miles per hour, where you see the orange. Now here's the 3-day precipitation total. Now the aerial coverage is quite large. It does miss our far southern and eastern areas, but those areas have had lots of moisture for the most part over the past month or 2 months. There have been some exceptions in the Moab area where they've missed some of it through there, so that is one thing. And there may be some misses here in the upper Snake River or in the far western portion of the Snake River Plain, I should say, but central areas should also get about 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rainfall during this time period, and maybe some decent snow amounts, higher terrain, western Wyoming, eastern Idaho. So you go further down the road, that storm system starts departing into the plain states on Saturday. Another storm system pushing on through, approaching on Saturday and Sunday, but high pressure starting to push northwards, blocking this storm, and that's going to be the pattern as warmer, drier air pushes in. This storm gets shredded apart, maybe tickling parts of the Payette late in the period, but we will be in a drying trend. But by that time, damage kind of could have been done, and we're already looking at the end of September. So no real significant concerns at this point. 7-day precip totals. The 8 to 14 day also no significant concerns. We're looking at cooler than normal temperatures for most areas, maybe near normal in the east, wetter than normal in northern and western areas, near normal as we go further south. And that concludes our briefing. Have a great day.